Hey there, fans of brotherly love wrestling. It is I, Vic Delicious.
Philly's own, the Mecca here.
It is the real McCoy, J.D.X. Justin D. Xavier. And
it's your man, CD, the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels.
Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend, RJ City.
Hey there, brotherly love wrestling. Bill Carr here.
Hey everyone, this is two-time guest Wheeler Yuta.
Two bozos from Philadelphia flapping their gums about pro wrestling this, pro wrestling that.
Which is not that unique in the grand scheme of things yet.
You are in for a treat because you're tuned in to Brotherly Love Wrestling.
Philadelphia, are you ready?
No! They said, are you ready?
This is Brotherly Love Wrestling Podcast, your first stop for everything professional wrestling. So sit back and enjoy wrestling talk at its finest with your hosts, Larry Hall and Joe Corrado.
Welcome, everybody, to Brotherly Love Wrestling. My guest today is the current TNA World Champion, and he'll be facing Matt Riddle for the first time ever at ACW's Poughkeepsie Rumble on January 4th at the MJN Convention Center. He is Mr. Nic Nemeth. Nick, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being on with me.
yeah, happy to be here, man. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've been doing what I do for 20 plus years. I'm still going and somehow keep finding a way to make it work and make it interesting. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited for ACW too, because a couple guys that I worked with when I very first started training in OVW, Vic Delicious, Rob Bagley. He was one of the first guys I got in the ring with to tie up on, and he gave me a call. We want to work a show. I'm like, hell yeah, man, let's do it. 20 years later, but let's make it happen.
Hell yeah. Yeah. This event is pretty insane because we've been talking with them now for a while, and to see them go from indie wrestlers, indie tag team, and now put their promoter's hat on and be on the other side of the curtain and put this event together. And especially with, like you said, I mean, with yourself and Tom Latimer, Matt Riddle, the real one, like some of the names that they were pulling in, and then just a lot of the card filling out really nicely. It's going to be pretty amazing, and especially in that arena that's, I mean, riddled with history of professional wrestling. Have you ever wrestled there? I assume you've wrestled there, and do you remember a lot about it?
You know what? I've been in and out. I'm really bad at having absolute memories of like a thing, but you know, I being in that area so many different times. Yes, I remember the people. I know I've been around in and out, and just the feel of being inside there without even knowing the history. It's still like it's like a good wrestling place. I don't know how to explain that to some people, to where not everyone is always on top of you, but just when you know, like, not even acoustics, there's just a feel there. And it's like not data or anything. It's just something that connects with you that says, oh, you can just tell this would be a fun place to do it. Like those kind of things are the things that I remember. I don't remember, you know, I got guys like Dean Malenko. He goes, I remember the 1986 Marriott in Poughkeepsie, Philadelphia. Like, and I'm like, how do you know this? I'm like, I when they go, where were you last week? I go, St. Paul, Minnesota. I don't know. I don't know how people do that, but there is that same feeling. You know, anywhere in that Northeast is a really fun thing with lots of like vague memory. Just like, because I for so long was like 18 of the 21 years in WWE, I was heel mostly. So I just have those it's fun ones where you're like, maybe it's myself versus Cena.
Yeah.
And I'm getting cheered by 99% of the crowd. And you go, ooh, this is kind of fun. You know what I mean? We can have some fun with it. Like, I remember those kind of things within the Northeast that always helped out.
Yeah.
But the crowds are always great and fun and love old school wrestling or new or WWE, whatever it is. It's like that mixture of not just families and kids and not just the hardcore guys my age that grew up, you know, Attitude Era in the 80s and stuff like that. You get a mix of everybody. And it's such a fun culture, I guess, for wrestling in the Northeast, especially, I think.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing is like this being a first time ever match with Riddle. I mean, obviously people know that you and Riddle were at WWE at the same time, but obviously never had a one-on-one match. It's hard to do in professional wrestling. First time ever is it doesn't happen anymore because everything's been done. So pretty cool.
Right. And every year somebody new joins the fray of a mixture of it. And I'm pretty sure like Riddle and I had like a couple of tags here and there that made no sense, or maybe even like he had to wear like a funny disguise and we had like a 4-minute match. It was like a throwaway thing. This will be something that is genuinely, I'm kind of crushing it right now mentally and physically, and he's always on top of his game one way or another as Riddle, because he has that background where you can tap somebody out, you can roll around with somebody, but he can also jump up, kick you in the face. And it's like he has all these pieces. And it's someone that when I went over to Japan a few times, he was like one of the few guys I knew in the locker room. And just to watch him do what he does, I'm looking forward to something. It's not a 3.5-minute throwaway Raw match so we can get to Randy bumping into Riddle backstage. This will be like something to where it's genuinely the two of us. And I've been waiting a long time. I love when you can roll around with guys who can go. It's like, whether it was like AJ Styles, we would do like we had a couple different matches on SmackDown, big ones, big fun ones, and we could throw in some amateur wrestling, working for some tap outs and making it fun. So anytime you could do stuff like that, like I got to do with Josh Alexander and a couple other guys, I live for that stuff because those first couple minutes when I get to throw my old amateur stuff back in from college in there it stands out and it's different, but also it just makes me feel little extra comfortable and fun.
Yeah, and not only that, you can test yourself, test your skills in that aspect.
Yes.
You know what I mean? From being an amateur, I mean, I'm obviously not always able to use that in WWE with stuff like that. So when you got guys that can go like that, at least you test and see how you've been doing.
Damn straight, yeah.
So I do want to ask about just your style, your type of wrestling style, and the way you are as a wrestler in general, because a lot of fans look at you in the same class as like a utility guy, where we know that we can put Nemeth in somewhere, and no matter what we put him in, he's going to deliver every time. Guys like an Orton, like a Miz, people like that, to where you can just plug and play and hey, I don't have to worry about that segment. I know this is going to deliver. Where did along the way, did you pick that up to where you could just be like, yeah, I'll do that. Yep, that's no problem.
I appreciate that you think that that's the way I said yes.
I mean, just
because 99% of the time it was, what the? No, are you kidding me? 3 minutes? I got 3 minutes to make. You want me to tell this story with 3? Are you kidding me? And then once I would relax, I'd be like, okay, this, maybe this, and you'd get that. Whether it was real or not, you'd get that. You're the only guy who can make this work in 3 minutes. Okay. And it doesn't hurt that you're not the guy who's 900-0 fighting for the world title in the main event of Mania, so we can make it work. And you go, okay. And then you get to a point to where it is after we did Spirit Squad stuff, and I was trying to learn what the heck I was doing. I was a little over a year into training, and I was trying to figure out what I was doing. And I said, well, if I'm not fired now, I want to give everything I possibly can. Not that I already wasn't. This is, it's a lot of people, this is their dream. And people come up to me at a signing and they'll be like, what should I be doing? I just started training. I'm like, dude, train and whatever, but don't check in and check out. Like, you have a certain window to where you can be believable as an athlete in your 20s to 40s or 50, whatever. And then not just that, you got to be able to sleep at night. Like, hey, I went for my dream and maybe I didn't get it. Maybe I did. But it's like, did I do the best with it? So I thought I was fired 2 different times. I was a caddy for a couple of weeks. Thought I was fired. I was a Spirit Squad. They dumped us into a box. I thought I was fired. I go, if I somehow get one more shot, I'm going to make them go, we need this guy here no matter what. So I was already training secretly extra to get 2 practices in a day to like double up my time to catch up to everybody. And then I said, okay, every live event that I was booked for, I flew myself to Florida, back to FCW, and voluntarily just set myself back to get in the ring, to ready to go. Like, hey guys, not only am I ready to go in the best shape of my life, I'm learning everything. I flew myself into Florida and I'm working these matches just in case you guys feel like giving me a shot. Anyway, here's 20 ideas. Here's all my stuff so I can sleep at night. And eventually it did work out. You get to a point and I go, that's so awesome that they need me for this thing. That's so great. And a smaller guy, 5'11", probably 195 pounds at the time, and not a legacy. My last name is not some guy that's in the Hall of Fame. None of those things. No one in meetings pushing for me. except for Pat Patterson, who did it a lot. And then it got to a point where everybody in charge was purposely having me lose because it would be a funny rib on Pat Patterson. So that was heartbreaking. And then you get to a point to where you get to kind of give a little back talk when it comes down to a thing. So when you get to like earlier said, like, hey, we need you to do this thing. We need it in 3 minutes. We need to help this guy out. I go like, after I yell the F word several times and pace around and punch a locker, I go, okay, I got an idea. This, and this will be friggin' perfect. And they're like, damn it, that's great. Okay. And then that's when you still get to come back through. And it's like, you didn't steal the show in 30 minutes with Kofi with all the false finishes and come back and walk back and go, follow that, MFers. And you're being serious because, hey, listen, even the 8-year-old kid that knew I was losing when I went out there, 90 seconds in thought I had him. So no one else can do what I can do. Thank you. You're welcome. I'll be at Hooters or whatever. So you get to that point to where it's almost a challenge. Like, oh, that thing you said 3 minutes. I now have 45 seconds to do it. All right. Okay. Let me figure it out. And you get to a point where you got it down and you can nail it. But then that 45 seconds kept getting, a little bit less and less. And I go, hey, listen, I only got 5-10 more years of being jacked and awesome at wrestling at the top of the, like top. Let me get out of here and go be world champion all over the world that we all know that I can do. And they're like, all right, go. So I would do those things.
Yeah.
And you think you're on a team and I'm helping the team, but also I didn't help myself as much, but that's probably why so many people want to work with me, but smaller guys. So it's kind of like chicken and egg thing. Like I need to be in that position to be there to get those opportunities. But if I don't do that, I wouldn't be there to get the opportunity. So it's just constantly making them break glass. We need this guy in the main event and having that option and just knowing that you at least got the respect from the locker room, even if the 8-year-old kid knows that you're losing when you walk out. So at least there's something positive there.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's the other thing again, obviously only speaking from the fan point of view, watching you go out there. I think that's why watching you do those things and build as you're obviously when you were in the Spirit Squad and you were the caddy and all that, and then you started and you were repackaged and then you were Dolph Ziggler and you started to make that run and you were Big E and AJ. And I think that's why your moment with that cash in, I mean, most fans, with the exception of maybe Seth Rollins at Mania's cash in, like they're 1 and 1A of the greatest cash-ins of all time. And that reaction that you got in that crowd, I mean, still is one of those things that gives me chills watching that kind of pop. I mean, how was it? Like, did you find out you going through the curtain? Like, when does that occur to you?
I'll try and make it quick because it's a 10.5 month process or whatever, 11 months, whatever the hell it was. And it's just constantly like going out there to not get it. Hey, maybe tonight. And you're like, really? And like, no, whatever. At the time, things were changing. Sometimes there were days when it was like 6 p.m. and you'd walk into the office and you'd go, all right, the opening seg for Raw is going to be, and you're like, oh, okay. So whether they said, maybe we're going to do it today, whatever, all these things. Mm-hmm. So the moment is absolutely awesome. And I love it so much. And I had a fight for that like 4-minute match that we had because it was supposed to be, there's an injured guy, Del Rio. I smack him with the briefcase. I hit my famouser and pin him. And I go, guys, please. You have screwed me every step of the way. It would be a dishonor to the business to do it this way. We need 2 or 3 instances where they go, oh my God, they're screwing Dolph. Like, just because, well, every step of the way so far at that point they had. Yeah. And it was like, and again, the reason the cash-in was so loud was 100% the fans. They grew to accept that they knew that I was good at my job, even though I was losing every night. And they knew at some point, even if I cashed in and they took it away or cashed in and won, and then somebody beat me 10 seconds later, they go, we're going to get that moment. And they deserved it because they made it happen. Because in that 10 months, sometimes I was doing stuff, sometimes I wasn't. Sometimes I was getting beat up and walking around with the contract, getting beat up way more than usual. And the reason that they stuck with it was because they, I think, respected the effort that was going in and what I was doing. And you could just see it in my face that, like, in a world where everybody works hard, I was standing out as like a hardworking guy who wants it. And that's absurd. When you work at Target, a couple of guys are getting high in the back and taking a nap and sleeping in golf carts. or the carts at the store, and some people are working in some part, and some people are busting their butts in this business where this is their dream and they're all fighting for it. For years, I got like standing out as a hardworking guy who could go, and I go, that is the biggest compliment you could possibly get. So because the fans stuck with it and that made that moment, I fought and got it to where, we're going to take it away, a little dip here, and I'm going to tap. Oh my God, he's going to tap out to a hurt Del Rio. Of course they're going to screw him. Oh my God. And then turn it around with the story of like his hurt leg. And I got to beat it. There is a few pieces of art throughout the years, and that is one that I'm really proud of. And the moment, it's unreal. It's one of those handfuls of times in your life where wrestling is even more real than real, and you get to the genuine emotion with myself and AJ and Big E hugging, just a real emotion no matter what the situation. And I'll never forget it. So many people come up to me and talk about it. One of the coolest things ever, and one of the loudest. Like, you get that. I used to watch, I'd get home at 8:58 to watch Raw, because at 9 there was fireworks and the glass might break and I can jump out of my seat.
Yeah.
And getting that reaction that people go, I haven't heard since the 90s when Austin, I go, damn right. And just having that, knowing I wasn't their guy, and like Seth was their guy.
Yeah.
Like that makes me go, if I got to pick, I'll go with the guy who was getting screwed over all the time and not really going to be their guy and disappear one day. I go, that makes it that much better, because he was slated in there to be the guy for 10 straight years and then do the cool thing. And it's like, it's awesome, but it's not as organic, it's not quite the same. So, and by the way, getting to Seth and I 8 months every year, just fighting each other was like a blast too. Just tearing it down and thinking of those counters to counters and trying to steal the show every Monday is the best.
It's amazing when, wrestling has that kind of storytelling, how absolutely entertaining and just all encompassing it can be. Because that's when it's at its best, when wrestling, it is purest form storytelling and getting people invested and just believing. Like you said, that 8-year-old kid who knew you were going to lose.
Yeah.
You put that little bit of doubt and it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, it's just, it works every single time.
It is. And it's obviously there's an art to our business. There's a piece, there's arc, there's storytelling, there's everything you can possibly apply, where you are in the card, the match, the shot, the person you got, all these pieces. But getting to a point where I go, if I'm so good at this, I can get somebody who knows I'm losing for 10 seconds to go, oh, I go, that's great. But it just kept getting less and less opportunities for that. I go, hey, listen, I got to get out of here. Let me go around the world, start over, and go, hey, listen, I'm going to earn my way into this main event. And if I don't want to be in it.
So there's one thing I want to hop back on, because if I don't, my co-host will kill me for not asking you this question, because it's one of the things he wanted to ask you. But so there's one moment in WWE that you were a part of that obviously, was about you for 90% of it until a certain music hit. And that's Survivor Series, Team Cena. And you're the last one, and it's you and Rollins, and you have Sting actually come to the WWE for the first time. And that crowd, again, talk about pops and all that, like, that was ridiculous. No one ever thought that was going to happen. What was it like being in there and being in the center of that entire ovation?
It gets extra fun because, one, it was a great day. We had some great storytelling stuff, and and even if it wasn't me winning that match for the good guys and it was Cena or somebody else, somebody helping out, it would have been an awesome hour and 5-minute match with this extra huge payoff of Stinger showing up. Like, oh, it's so the coolest thing ever. But a really funny thing is, I'm laying on top of Seth's on top of me. We're on top of each other, and we have to lay off to the side for 15 minutes. Like, we do one last false finish. Triple H beats me up, clotheslines me, and I'm laying on top of Seth. And then he does his whole thing, and then Sting comes out, and then they face off. Then they finish their business. Then he drops it. It is 15 minutes of us laying like stacked like logs. I'm just like, hey, it's kind of funny, right? Like, it's like a minute's a long time on TV, but we're at like minute 12 here. I'm like, it's kind of funny. No one's watching us, of course.
No, obviously.
But it is just funny to like be in the ring. Like, man, it's been like 10 minutes. Checking my watch, but no one's paying attention. Like, it's ridiculous. And then having that moment, and then Sting actually assisting with the win makes it even like. That day is great. that match did some excellent business. I thought, no matter whether it was me or someone else, saving the day that day, it was really great. And then the bonus, the cherry on top, Stinger showing up, absolutely awesome. But just having that couple minutes of just like bullshit was set. It's like really funny because you don't, no one's looking at it. No one in the world. If someone was sitting right in front of us, I would know they're looking past us to watch Sting and Triple H, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it was just that's an extra funny moment. We're just back over there laying around.
Being TNA world champion now, I mean, I don't think that anyone who's followed your career is really surprised that you were able to get to that level. But to do it as you've been doing it, people, like you said, Josh Alexander's one, Joe Hendry, who his first opportunity, obviously now coming up after Final Resolution just happened, where you had a big victory over AJ Francis, which, by the way, got me that choke slam counter into the Famouser was awesome. I mean, it was like, it's so cool to see those type things where you could do stuff like that. And it just, I mean, you at the top of your game, you weren't kidding. Like, yeah, let me go and be at the top of my game and do this and show you that I'm going to do it and I'm able to do this. Being a TNA, what a difference it must be from a machine like the WWE and then going to a TNA, obviously a smaller company. No one thinks otherwise, but going from that to a TNA and the creative process and everything that goes in that, what's the biggest difference in your mind when it comes to TNA?
You know, it's hard to explain because, yeah, I mean, it's very different companies financially. Obviously, there is a different chunk of sales going to one way and different plays another. But the best part is what Scott D'Amore was recruiting me to TNA. He goes, dude, you just got to see this locker room. You got to see the guys in the gals. You got to get back. I'm like, I don't want to sign anywhere. I go, I just got out of a long-term relationship, 20 years. I go, I want to be single for a little while. And I said, I'll do some dates, whatever. I'll try. And he had a couple guys texting me from the locker room, like, God, you got to check it out. And it's 100% correct. Like, the difference is, it's not 95% of the people all on the same page, like grouping together to try and make it. It's 100%, actually 105%, because the people behind the scenes, Gail, Tommy, Ariel, who are actually pushing us and like giving feedback in between, to where it's, you don't just get told, here's what you're going to do. X plus Y is Z. That's what you got today. Okay, thanks. But you go, hey, I think X plus X equals Y here. And they're like, well, maybe. And you just have this back and forth. And it was very refreshing to do pieces like that. But by the way, the last 15 years of my career, I could also throw ideas back and forth and get some feedback in different pieces. But on a much smaller level, I had to get out of the old Vince days of like knowing that I can't do a certain thing and reminding myself that, oh, right, the entire world is an option for my match, instead of like knowing that I have these barriers, and sometimes rightfully so. Like, I've had a couple times where the boss will go, don't go out there and try and steal the show. And you're like, oh yeah, motherfucker. Like, I'll let you know. And it made you want to do it more. And sometimes you're supposed to know your place. Like, you know, it's simple. Like on a card, say you're the first match, you don't go through tables and dive out to the floor. You have some respect for there's a tables match and a main event match. There's all those different pieces. And I could always evaluate where I was in the card, but still find a way to have it stand out that we put the work in, that like, if I get an opportunity to be on television in this ring for the fans, they're going to get an 11 out of 10, whether I have 30 seconds or 30 minutes. I can't not do it. And that's part of the reason why, you know, I lie awake at night, but that's part of the deal. But like that difference is when you get to work, there's not going to be 80,000 people every night. And there's not going to have all these different pieces and moving parts. And it much like I said first, it forces everybody to like group together. And even though we're almost always on a team, no matter where you are these days, trying to make the product as a whole better, it is legitimately 105% of everybody. Even people who are part-time or going back and forth and doing their own thing or on their way out in a couple of months, they're giving everything to make this show great. And that's why the stories make so much sense on Impact. Our houses, our gates are getting higher and higher, and we're getting very aggressive in 2025 because of knowing the talent we have, knowing the stories we're telling, and knowing every piece behind the scenes is pushing to make this bigger and better than ever. This is a big year for us, but it's a very ambitious year, and we need to we're killing it, but man, we can't look back. We can't stop. We got to go 10 times bigger in all of our heads for our matches. So everyone's talking about us just to have a chance to fill up these seats that we're shooting for. So I love that challenge. And there's a reason we're doing it. It's not just like, hey, wouldn't this be cool if we had this 100,000 seat arena? No, it's you guys are slowly but surely for 2 years killing it and crawling along and scratching for it. And we know that the fans are there because they're feeding off of it because we're giving them a good show. So we're doing our part, and we have a big year ahead of us to see where we're going for the next 10.
Nice. Yeah, I think with TNA, I think TNA kind of flies under the radar for fans as far as watching, unfortunately. And a lot of people's excuse is the platform that TNA is on. But regardless of that, I know for a fact, I've never seen it. I mean, up till now included, I've never seen a bad TNA pay-per-view that I have walked away going, man, I don't know about that show. Deliver every single time, and it's insane. Like, and I don't understand why people don't go out of their way to find TNA.
And it's, and a lot of people do, and I appreciate that, but it's a little tricky to find it sometimes on Access TV and the TNA Plus app. But man, I'm telling you though, the pay-per-views or the TNA Plus, especially when it gets down to if I've been the main event for 4 of the last 5 pay-per-views, something like that. And I get to watch some of the matches, and then sometimes I got to listen to the last 2 while I'm getting ready. I'm just listening to the crowd. And I go, man, a couple of times following the Hardys, following Jordan Grace and Masha beating the hell out of each other. And I go, they are hot now, 95% of the way through the show, and these guys are crushing it. And I got to go out there next and start over clean. I go, I talked all this big game for 20 years. I better be able to back it up. And we have. But the best, it is there was just a bunch of cards in the old days where it was there was a couple, you get a couple show stealing things, or you get me and Kofi or me and Del Rio or something, or me and Seth. And we'd have these show stealing matches, but there'd be a couple story based ones, and then a main event that was so, and you get to where these cards are flat out show stealing matches every step of the way. And it to make me go, oh shit, I better be ready to go here, because my whole thing is trying to steal the show from everybody else. I'm on last, but the work is set up for me. And especially this last one, man, it was Hardys versus the System, and they were going through tables and they're fighting in the crowd, and the place is going insane. I go, this is so awesome. I go, oh, right. I got to do it better somehow, or at least match it. And I went there, and myself and AJ Francis, we absolutely delivered. And I look forward to working with them some more. It was a blast, and everything came together. But man, the cards, whether it's Impact or our pay-per-views, top to bottom, they deliver. And if they didn't, I'd be like, hey, listen, we're working on it. And a lot of our matches are good. They all kick ass and are show-stealing matches. And it makes me work that much harder in the main event. And I welcome that challenge for the next 10 years.
Yeah. So to close it out, Nick, I just want to say, thank you, first of all and foremost, for taking the time of doing this. We appreciate it more than you could ever know. This is awesome. But January 4th,
here we go.
Riddle.
Now we're talking ACW, baby. Let's do it.
You, Riddle, first time ever in the MJN Center. I mean, ACW, this is going to be one hell of a card, one hell of an event. We've been saying it for weeks now since the Now have announced it. If you're in the tri-state area and have any way of getting up there, get tickets, because tickets available. This is ACW.com. You can meet this man for the meet and greet from 5:30 to 7:30. Also, Tom Latimer. You can meet the real one. You can meet Matt Riddle. All on ACW's website. This is ACW.com. You call the box office at the MJN Center. But we cannot wait to see you, Matt Riddle, in the center of that ring. I mean, we already got our tickets. We got our hotel room. We'll be up there. We cannot wait. We can't wait.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while. I haven't seen my buddies, a couple guys up there. I see Real One all over the world. I've seen Riddle in a couple Japanese locker rooms. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be fun. We get a solid test between the two of us, and we're going to do something special. I guarantee it. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So, yeah, we'll see you up there January 4th. We can't wait. It's going to be a hell of an event. Again, thank you once again for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, subscribe, check us out anywhere you can. And we'll be talking to you very soon. Don't take any shit from anybody. See you guys later.